Hello, everybody. It's me, Grant, back for another episode of the Southern Shmooze podcast. This is episode number 4. How exciting! 4 in. Who would have guessed? I suppose just me. But, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just like, still excited about everything. It's fresh. It's new. It's just like, it's just been such a fun opportunity so far. And boy, oh boy, do I have some guests in store for y'all. I'm branching outside the schmooze, you could say. Like, I'm interested in talking to everybody who's doing everything in Atlanta. If you're a part of Atlanta, I want to talk to you. So there's going to be some, like, surprises, I guess you could say. Like, you're not going to expect who I'm bringing on, but in a good way. But yeah, let's see. I think this is the part of the show where I kind of dive into whatever's going on in my world. So, it's just like, it's the introduction, right? I'm allowed to kind of just go free willy with it and talk about whatever's on top of brain at the moment. This has been a cool week so far. My partner, Mark is one of our admins on the group as well. We run the Peace of Mind Recycling, and we did a piece with CBS 46. So we'll be back on the news sometime in the near future. And that was really nice. I always like when, news outlets see, I think we're doing cool things, and it's just cool to see, like, somebody else think that recycling is cool, because it's not a lot of us out there. So when someone says good job, I'm like, oh wow, that's awesome, I appreciate you. So there's that, and it's just a pretty standard work week, you could say. And speaking of doing new things, this has been on my to-do list, not for forever. Like, this podcast was on my bucket list for the last 5 years, but I'm venturing into just having fun playing music on my own again, which I play in a couple bands. I don't know if anyone knows that or not, but it's like, it's been a thing in my life for ever 20 years at least. And I started a little side project thing, you could call it. Once again, it's so new that I can't even call it a side project. We could just call it a thing. I like to play music, and that's all we can call it. There's no other way to really dive into that. But hey, it's Oh, speaking of music, today's guest, Ashton Walker. He's with Loaves and Fishes, which is a part of let me get this right, St. John the Wonder Worker Orthodox Church here in Grant Park. Very cool interview. The whole tie-in there was that he used to play in some bands, and we got to talk about that, which is a fun little thing. I didn't know that was going to come up in conversation. So, yeah, it's just cool to talk to someone with some history that we share in that punk scene world. But also, disclaimer, I'm new to this, right? So forgot there's such a thing called a windscreen that you're supposed to put on a microphone. So you're going to hear a lot of wind, because I like to be outside, right? So it was a windy day when we did this interview, this conversation. And, it's still listenable. I wouldn't put it out if it was like garbage wind constantly blowing in your ears. But I'm definitely gonna put the windscreen protector on next time, because it's a little noticeable. But the quality of the content is there. I'm really stoked on this one because I learned a bunch of new things about his line of work, and the best part about it is we're going to do a volunteer soup kitchen day on May 6th from 7-ish to 11-ish. And y'all are welcome to come. This is going to be our monthly meetup for our Shmooze certified businesses, but obviously this is open to the public. And by public, I mean, the schmoozers. If you want to do some good and feed some hungry folks, this is the opportunity to do it. And, I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. I'm just like excited to do something different, right? I'm always trying new things. All right, well, I don't know. Is that good enough for now? Feels good enough for me. I think we are ready to go. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Ashton. And away we go.
When you're in need of a plumber, a roofer, a builder, a banker, a candlestick maker, electrician, technician, landscaper, bricklayer, flooring and fencing, I need to say we could be schmoozing. We could be schmoozing at the Southern Shmooze.
All right. Here we are. It is the April 8th. We're at 10:45 in the morning in Grant Park, literally the park. Today, we have Ashton.
Hey, I'm Ashton Walker. I'm the Center Director for Focus Atlanta, and our flagship project is Loaves and Fishes, which is a soup kitchen that has been running in Grant Park since around 1989 in some way, shape, or form, out of the basement of the beautiful St. John the Wonder Worker Orthodox Church.
Wow, you are off to a great start and didn't have to ask anything.
The basics, yeah.
Okay, cool. And just for clarity, you're on Cherokee, right?
Yep, Cherokee. We're 543 Cherokee. So if you're headed towards the zoo, you usually pass us.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Because before we connected, I must have driven by your place 1,000 times and didn't realize it. But it is very, once you see it, you can't miss it. Yeah. But yeah, I thought this would be fun to chit chat. Right out the gate, I'll just let everyone know we're doing, for the next Shmooze meetup, a volunteer at your church to help your food kitchen on, just make sure I got the date right.
Yes.
It's May 7th.
Yes.
So that's the first Thursday, and we're doing 7-ish to 11-ish.
Yep.
Okay, something like
great.
that.
So the way we normally do it is I'll get there between 6:30 and 7. We'll start setting up. By 7:30, we serve coffee and pastries. And at 9 o'clock, we do a hot meal and a lunch to go bag. Every day we're handing out gloves, hats, hygiene kits. We've got 2 social workers that come through to pick up casework. Tuesday we have a foot clinic. Wednesday we have a shower truck. And Thursday, the amazing Mercy Care medical team come in and run a doctor's office. So you'll get to see that.
Wow.
Occasionally they bring in a foot doctor who does borderline foot surgery there.
Wow.
So hopefully he'll be there, but I can't make any promises.
That's really cool. That y'all are. All right. We're in so deep already. We've already just I'm trying to think about where to go from here. But this is obviously this is your job, right? This is these aren't we can volunteer, but y'all are obviously employed through the church, I imagine.
Well, it was run by the church for the first 25 years.
Okay.
And it was primarily priest run. So it's had a lot of different variations, but it's been consistently going for a really long time.
Yep.
The newest priest has better boundaries. And so he called in Focus, which technically stands for the Fellowship of Orthodox Christians United to Serve.
Okay.
But also stands for Food, Occupation, Clothing, Understanding, and Shelter. And so what Focus is it is a nonprofit that helps these kinds of projects stabilize and keep going. And so they pay me and they pay our staff, our very small staff. And though we fundraise as well. So we're self-funding, but we're sort of organized through Focus. So we run it for the church at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all very. I'm new to this, or like as you can tell, like it's religion obviously plays a big aspect in all this, obviously, right?
It does.
But go ahead.
No, it definitely does. Our volunteers and our donors, though, are all over the place.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my question.
Yeah.
It's like anyone can do anything with y'all, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have volunteers who are from the neighborhood. We have like families from the neighborhood. We have volunteers who are devout Orthodox, and this is how they show their religious faith. We have one of our core volunteers is devoutly agnostic and does not like anything involving religion. He just loves to feed hungry people.
Wow.
And he will come in and cook twice a week, every week. He's a professional chef.
Wow.
And he just comes in, knocks it out, and he is not a religious person. He's political, he's amazing, he's hilarious. You know, he's one of those guys that will talk to anyone. But yeah, we have the full spectrum.
That's really rad. And this is not the first time I can't give you an example per se, but I remember being at like Summer Shade or something, Summer Shade Fest, and there was some church was there to some manor, and we were chit-chatting, and they were like, you know, the concept is everyone's welcome, like we don't turn anyone away, like whoever, whatever, please come, you know. That seems to be kind of the vibe more or less throughout at least Atlanta, like as opposed to, I don't know, I'm just thinking back to like my childhood where it was just like I didn't get those vibes per se. And I feel like, you know, I don't know, just am I right, or is that kind of, do you feel that, or is there, is
well,
it?
I mean, you know, I think we all have religious trauma in our past, and we all have religious beauty in our past, and hints at both, and you know, that, you know, depending on where you kind of bump into religion, you can get a very different take. I think Atlanta, you know, I'm a booster. I'm a fan of Atlanta. I've been around Grant Park, Cabbagetown, Reynoldstown, Kirkwood for so long. And I love it. And so you're always going to find amazing people doing amazing things, and people that, you know, you probably just want to avoid. And so it's really interesting to see people so grounded in their neighborhood and in their community that they've sort of built something this stable and this historic, really. And there are a lot of other religious communities in the Atlanta area that have done that. I mean, Central Pres downtown is amazing, and they do a winter.
I know what you're talking about. Is it the really big one on like near Georgia State?
Yep.
I bike by it every day with my son.
And they do a winter shelter, and a lot of our guys love staying at that shelter because there isn't a lot of indoctrination or programming. They're just there to help and serve. And the way they show their religious fidelity or experience is by helping people, not by, you know, trying to force them to have the same opinions. And that's a lot of the way we kind of look at it, and a lot of our volunteers look at it as well.
Yeah. So I mean, other than y'all, there are unhoused community helping centers, but outside of that, you feel like it's kind of those two things that are kind of helping, like, you know, the homeless population?
Well, I mean, you know, the homeless problem and poverty in America and in Georgia and in Atlanta, a big city like Atlanta, is everywhere, right? So one of the first things I did when I came in as director was reach out to friends at the Atlanta Regional Commission and look at their living beyond expectations map of poverty, where they use life expectancy as a proxy for poverty. And they kind of show, like, block by block with census data where people are living on average longer and when they're dying earlier on average, right? And what you kind of see, certain things are pulling that down and they associate it with poverty. And it's not that clean, you know, one side of town, the other side of town. You know, Atlanta always has a north-south divide, but there's right now just poverty everywhere. And one of the things that really stuck with me was the Atlanta Regional Commission's sociologists said, if you're looking to expand your program and do what you do somewhere else in Atlanta as well, you could throw a dart at a map of Atlanta, and wherever it hits, you're going to be close to someone that needs that kind of stuff, those kinds of resources, and you're going to be doing good. So there's so many people doing amazing stuff, but poverty and need are so dispersed and so just present everywhere in these little pockets that, well, it's a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, I've definitely seen it firsthand here and many other places that we've traveled. Like, it's even crazier, some other cities. But real quick, I wanted to make sure at the beginning that if someone's listening and they're like, this sounds like something I want to help with, what's a good way for them to contact you or the church or anything in that realm? Yeah.
Focus Atlanta, FOCUS, Atlanta.org is the website. That's the easiest and best way to find our contact information, but also 543 Cherokee Ave. We love walk-ups.
Great.
So, we love neighbors who walk by and ask us questions. You'll see, if you do come in, you'll see I'm running around crazily, but I enjoy it. I'm always having a really good time, and our volunteers are about the same. So we love to talk to neighbors. We love to talk to volunteers. And, if you somehow are hearing this and you are in need, we love to help out. We have a grocery closet as well, clothes. We give out all kinds of stuff, and we can usually find people resources. In-town cares are our main social workers, and we usually have 2 social workers on hand, picking up casework, helping people get connected to jobs, to housing, all kinds of stuff. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad we got that out there at the beginning. And we'll put it at the end too. But
wonderful.
I just wanted to make sure whoever's like really interested, like now they know how to get in touch. And there was a cool segue in there for a second. I definitely want to like hear kind of how you got into this for sure. Like very curious. But I also thought it might be fun to, not fun per se, but how we met is an interesting story.
Yes.
Like, sort of long story short, I had a bike stolen, right? And all the leads, my contractor sent me to your church because he thought he saw, the man who stole it. And sure enough, he was there, and that's how we connected, which was, and you were very, very, very nice. You took me around to try to find the bike. We didn't find the bike, but it was just like, holy smokes, anyone that taking their time out of their day to just help me on my bike mission was just like very thoughtful. And I'm so, this was months ago. So it's like cool. I didn't forget it because I was just like, I really want to stay in touch, right? Because it was such a nice thing that you did. And all that to say, it was a bad thing that happened, but it ended up being so good because the bike was actually relocated, and I got it back, and then in exchange, because I run a recycling company, a customer gave me 2 other bikes that were just like normal bikes, right? Because the one that was stolen was an e-bike, and that thing is kind of a burden to ride around on if it doesn't have a battery. Long story, so I gave him these other 2 bikes that were donated to me in exchange for the e-bike that was mine, and so he ended up getting 2 bikes out of it, which he was stoked on. And then not only that, but like now we're still chit-chatting, we're doing the volunteer with y'all, and it's just like, it was very wild to see something like I was so distraught, and then sure enough it was like kind of a blessing in disguise that brought us all here together, right?
To your credit, I have lived in Atlanta for a very long time, and I've had many things stolen, busted windows, lost a car once back in Reynoldstown way back in the day. And I think you handled it better than I ever did, and better than anyone else. So you made it easy to help.
Wow.
And that's also, very characteristic of this neighborhood. Luckily, I will say, in my time here, that's been really, really rare that we've had someone who steals anything. It's, that's a thing everywhere. As
Sure.
we've all learned. A lot of our guys are coming from the shelters directly to get programming. Work with the social workers, work with Mercy Care, the doctor's office, and then head back. And it's just kind of like they're trying to get away from the chaos of downtown for a brief moment and then head back. But yeah, every once in a while that happens. And Larry, bless his heart. Did he get some help? He did, actually. He's in rehab in Kentucky was the last that I heard, and we verified that was a real rehab and that he's working through. So
I mean,
we will, hopefully he's one of those mischievous older gentlemen.
Sure.
He's not a violent person, playful, but boundaries are really tough. And things like that. But it was such an amazing, kind of experience for me, how you handled it, and with that grace and understanding and trying to stay solution oriented instead of grievance based.
Yeah, no,
and
it was.
So that makes it so much easier for us to kind of
right,
find a path forward with stuff like that.
Chill heads prevail, I believe was what
Absolutely.
my pop might tell me, and it takes a lot for me to lose the only person in my life at the moment that can make me go from 0 to 100 is my 3-year-old, and that is just a 3-year-old being a 3-year-old. So it's really, there's no solution there other than just grit your teeth and say, all right, this too shall pass.
Well, I was going to say, as someone with a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, I want to tell you, it'll pass, but it comes back in a different form every time. So it's a constant level of stresses and joys. And it's pretty amazing bringing them in to volunteer.
I was about to ask, have they joined you?
Well, so my wife works from home.
Okay.
So when they have school vacation, they come with me to Loaves. So they would be here this week because they're on spring break.
Yeah.
But they made it up to DC to visit cousins. So they're having tons of fun in DC. But normally they'll be hanging out at Loaves and Fishes, running plates, making cookie bags, talking to people.
Wow.
So we have got a homeschool family that's been coming in every Friday. And, it's surprisingly kid-friendly. I mean, we deal with a lot of complex issues. We have social workers who are dealing with people who have experienced layers and layers of trauma. Mm-hmm. We had one lady who was camped out at the park for the longest time and was just working through trauma with her was really difficult, and getting her connected to the right social worker that can help meet her where she's at and get her from place A to place B was a big struggle. But almost all of our guests, something about having kids there, they're on their best behavior, and it's a rare, moment where they get to step out of the world that they're in and just
talk about
experience something different.
I was about to say they're experiencing life to the most they could in this scenario where you're learning so much about giving and just they're growing up. That's a really cool idea. I hadn't really thought about till now, but I like this idea of Gus or Fern, my kids, kind of participating in this when they're a little older. And I mean, are there other children as well, or is it just yours?
Well, yeah. So my kids, and there's a couple homeschool families that come in and bring their kids, and we had an amazing kid, Oscar, who saw us on his school bus ride in the morning and sent me a letter.
Wow.
Asking about whether he could do a report on us for his class.
Yeah.
And, asking what we did, and I answered his questions, and he did a project on us. And then his mom brought him and his best friend and his best friend's mom in to volunteer.
This is a cool kid.
If you're listening, Oscar, you're the coolest.
Oh, man. Okay.
So
And-
yeah, there's a good, and then the church has a lot of kids, and they'll come down. The Sunday schools make sandwiches for us.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing church up in Norcross that comes down every Monday with enough sandwiches for 60 people, 5 days.
Wow.
And then we've got our Sunday school at St. John the Wonder Worker that'll make sandwiches for us. We've got an amazing Korean Presbyterian church from Gwinnett that came in today, and they come in one Wednesday a month, and it's a bunch of Korean grandmas. They take over. They're awesome.
Wow.
So we've had a couple non-church based group volunteers. The Keller Williams Young Professionals came in, and they were great. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that all y'all are connected. It's got that's really neat to hear. And but yeah, the question that I've been curious about is just how you got to this point. Like, were you involved in kind of this whole world for most of your life, or did that happen later, or? Because we're roughly late 30s, is that fair?
Sure, let's say that. Late 30s, really early 40s.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, kind of, right? So I grew up a missionary kid in the Philippines.
Okay, I knew there had to be a...
and then
wow.
my dad was a missionary kid in Singapore before that. And his grandfather was a missionary in China. So there's a lot of that. But then I came back and started playing in punk bands, working at the Majestic.
We gotta stop there. Tell me more.
Working at Fellini's Pizza, doing all that, doing the general like Atlanta.
Would it have been a band I would know, or?
No. I probably played with some bands you knew.
Okay.
And if you know the music scene of this area, I was a frequent at the 513, the Neutron Bomb, Dottie's, which became Old Lenny's, New Lenny's, the iDrum, all of these wonderful venues that I have to shout out.
There you go.
That are now condos and apartments,
I
also love.
I think iDrum
So,
might still be around.
Well, it moved.
Did they relocate?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the old iDrum down the street was.
I didn't even know it was down the street.
I saw.
Oh wow.
What was it? Big Dad opened for Lightning Bolt on an epic July 4th show there. That shout out, but yeah. I did a lot of that, and I did my undergrad at Mercer in U.S. history. And
Macon?
Then Macon, and then moved up to Atlanta.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
All
then
right.
I did my master's at Georgia State in public policy at the Andrew Young School of Public Policy in their urban studies department. It's
Okay.
amazing, interdisciplinary department, very chaotic. Everyone's always arguing. So I think, that helped me build my de-escalation skills.
So this was all in prep to get to where you are now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because my path was not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it took a long, the bands and the restaurant work was a lot longer and more windy.
Yeah, me too.
I was up in Brooklyn for a few years working at Strand Bookstore.
Oh,
which
wow.
was
That's
amazing.
neat. Yeah.
I love that. And Williamsburg back in the day. But
So it sounds like once you graduated, you were more or less, is that when you started at St. John's?
well, after I did my grad school. So I was so I did a lot of my master's work on that sort of building boom of apartment complexes from 1965 to 1970. You see this huge building boom of apartments, and a lot of those are now what we call naturally occurring affordable housing, right? They've kind of become our defunct public housing. You see a lot of that. I live in Clarkston. So one of the main reasons it's a refugee hub is because you have these cheaper apartments that are hitting their 50-year mark, so they have a lot of building needs. They've sort of changed hands a bunch.
Yeah.
And so looking at what you do with that, what the future of that land is, what the future of those services will be for smaller cities was kind of what I was interested in.
Okay.
And my wife is a grant writer for a lot of big nonprofits, and through our church, which is St. Elias down on Ponce,
Okay.
we got wind of this job, and it's one of those very nonprofit-y, kind of very chaotic jobs where they're like, can you run our program, find us lots of money, do all these different things, and
Was that
we're like, this sounds crazy, but also amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and I went into the program to check it out, and I fell in love.
Was this recently? 5 years, 10 years, few years?
This was about a year ago.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
this is
so
fresh.
I'm fresh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oh wow. Okay, so yeah, do you like it?
I love it.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna stay.
Yeah. As long as I can, it's these kinds of things are, it's really interesting to see like the neighborhood support and the history here, and
How long is? You mentioned the program was from '89.
Yeah, so they've been going for a very long time.
But the church, I can only imagine, is from way longer.
Well, the building.
The building.
The building is. The church came in, I believe, in the early 80s.
Oh, okay,
So they've
cool.
been doing this most of the time, and at this point, they've been here a good long while.
Yeah.
But once some form of the church has been in the Grant Park area since the early 80s, and that's, they have a generation of people that have come up through that church that, are deeply enmeshed in the neighborhood.
Since you're a year in, where do you, have you already are you kind of keeping pace with how it was with your predecessor, or you feel like you're gonna change things up, or are you just trying to, just do the best that you can, or do you have something on your agenda you're really excited about, something new or something?
I mean, I have, in multiple senses, I have amazing predecessors, and I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
Cool.
So, Father Jacob was the original priest that built out the program. Father Tom was an amazing priest that is still wandering Atlanta, checking in on everyone. Reese Martin was the director right before me, and he's still in the area. He's still an amazing guy, plays in a really good metal band that I won't, I'll let him shout out.
This is wild. What's the metal band?
I'll let him, I don't know, I think they're thinking about taking a hiatus, so I don't want to.
Is it like Christian metal, or is it just metal?
Yeah, I think it's just metal.
Hey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's got Christian overtones, deeply, somewhere in the lyrics.
Tooth and nail.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you this, but the priest right now may or may not have been in a Tooth and Nail band.
You're gonna. You can't tell me, but you can hear.
I can.
I'm so
I can
curious.
throw that in there. But that's you have to come into the church to
sold
to get that kind of gossip. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the podcast.
Well,
but,
for anyone listening, Tooth and Nail I think they're.
I don't know if they're still going.
Yeah,
it was a real '90s thing, but
Under Oath and all sorts of
Zayo.
Yeah, Christian metal bands. So wow, you're really tying us into my music world, which is fun.
I mean, it's Atlanta, it's Grant Park. It's East Atlanta. You gotta, they're deeply enmeshed. But so amazing people. We're running the program in different ways, and one of the most important people is in-town care social worker Matt Reed.
Mm-hmm.
He is at the program every day. He worked with Mercy Care before. He's been a social worker in and around Atlanta forever. People in the neighborhood, you probably know Matt Reed. He's a great guy. And the quiet work that he does for the program is, just a blessing.
Yeah.
An amazing thing. So for me, I came in to think about how we can expand to other areas and still keep the foundation stable and pull in other churches and kind of get more volunteers, more funds coming in.
Yeah.
Gift in kind, we have so much gift in kind, which is the
gift in kind
donations.
Donations. Okay.
Yeah, so we do, all of our food is donated. Our overhead's real small, so we're just
Sounds
bang
like you're
for your buck
doing
on this program.
really
is
well.
Really awesome. I mean, these nonprofits are always fragile. These kinds of programs are always difficult because, it's like a restaurant, yet it's kind of the polar opposite of a restaurant, right?
Okay, yeah.
You have no employees, all of your guests are coming there because they're experiencing trauma and in need of other services, but you still have to cook meals and you still have to get food into coolers and get it, still have to meet codes and you still have to make things work. And so it's chaotic, but it's, for a project like this, it's amazingly sound, and the little work that so many people in this neighborhood and in these communities have put into it is really mind-blowing.
I mean, I can...
You can tell I'm in love with it.
I know, right? This is awesome. And then, when I showed up today, I saw the cool, it was like a shower bus or something that was there. Shower truck, yeah.
Yeah, Feet on the Street Ministries. I got connected with them down in Kirkwood at Edgewood Church. There's a great thing called Mercy Fest, which is kind of like what we do, but they do it once a month.
Okay.
And there's a lot of those kinds of programs that I'm always looking for all over Atlanta, where a church will do, we do it every day, which is amazing and exhausting. Well, every Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
But there's so many people doing these kinds of amazing projects. So I bumped into them and they, blew me away. Their shower truck is so cool. And Pastor Lattimore has an amazing life story, and he was unhoused for quite a while. A lot of our frequent guests know him from that past, and he's sort of an inspiration story to them. And they come in and they'll pay guests to help them clean it. So it's a good way to kind of get people a little workforce development, get them from point A to point B. And and get showers, which is huge.
Showers, and then also I remember we talked the other day, and it was pedicure might not be the right word, but you said something that I remembered that I enjoyed.
We have a foot clinic that comes in with us, Church of the Common Ground. They spend a lot of time in Woodruff Park. They're an amazing group. It's a similar thing where they're based out of the Episcopalian Church, but their volunteers are all over the place. Mm-hmm. People who church, people who don't church, people who explicitly don't want to church. It's all people who just want to help with foot care. And
you mentioned surgery earlier, which I thought was a lot, but I also like the part where you were thinking about it. I was thinking about it in the terms of I don't even wash my own feet, but the idea of someone having their feet washed feels very just so it would be so nice, and something I kind of just never really thought about. But that's what they do, right?
Well, yep. They wash feet, they cut toenails, they file, they do everything up to sort of medical grade stuff, foot care. But I was talking to one of our volunteers who's a Grady nurse, and she was just gushing about the foot clinic, and I'm trying to convince her to do a video. We're doing a video series with our volunteers to get their testimony, why they do what they do. And she was talking about, as a nurse, how amazing it is to have that level of foot care for unhoused neighbors who just don't get any maintenance. If they're not coming to us, we have an endless amount of socks right now.
Okay.
So if anyone needs socks, come find me.
Great.
But a lot of the time they don't have socks. They don't have shoes that fit. They have so many issues that a hospital, a doctor's office won't deal with, but the foot clinic will. And it makes it so much easier for the hospitals and the doctors' offices to handle the foot care that they can do if somebody's already doing that lower level maintenance, and
Gotcha.
They already have a place to get that done. And so there's that. Now, Mercy Care, the actual doctor's office, does bring in a foot doctor from time to time who does amazing stuff and brings in a whole slew of tools and sanitizing techniques and all kinds of things.
Wow.
I've got some gnarly and great pictures of that it will live on.
Before and afters.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I get
So,
that. No, that's lovely. I bet you, I mean, I'm just trying to,
And
like your story about Oscar is like resonating with me, and then do you have other stories that you're like come to mind when you think of just something? I guess it's only been a year-ish, right?
Yeah.
But have you had other like examples of just like, wow, this is wild?
I mean, we have, all kinds of amazing stuff happening every day, that I'm just kind of on the outside of, right?
Uh-huh.
The social workers do this amazing work where they're so good at finding resources, and the resource pool is so stretched and so labyrinthine, and they make miracles happen, and so, I get pictures of them caught in bear hugs where people are crying because they finally got their paperwork. And I remember, them crying to me like a month ago about
what's the paperwork?
Different birth certificates, different, people lose their IDs all the time, and it takes a long time to jump through all the hoops to get that back in terms of, getting the resources they need to survive, getting benefits, getting money that they need, but also finding housing.
Yeah.
And so it's, not a lot of the people that we meet are really content to stay where they're at for the long haul. A lot, people are dealing with trauma, people are dealing with, undiagnosed mental health issues all the time, but most of them are trying to get out of what, not a lot of them are trying to just stay living where they're living. They're trying to find resources. It's just the need is so great.
Yeah.
And the resources aren't there. And, there's just layers. It's a very slow
the resources
process.
aren't there. So if someone's listening, they're like, I might be a resource. What are the top resources that you could use right now that I know we touched on a few already, but are there any that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was talking about like program housing and that kind of stuff. And there are amazing people, building out. There's the Downtown Neighborhood Development Corporation is building out program housing on church properties all over Atlanta, and that have wraparound services. One of my favorite people, Jimmy, he's hilarious. If you ever come volunteer, you have to find Jimmy. He's just a jovial, amazing guy. He finally got housing at Waterworks, which is part of the Downtown Rising program. But in the day-to-day, we're good on socks right now. We always need underwear.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, underwear. We blast through underwear.
What about I don't know, like
that.
Salvation Army or places like that? Do you connect with any of them, or not so much?
We're always running around. I was at a thrift store the other day, and I asked the lady at the counter how much men's underwear she sold on average, and would I be able to get a deal if I bought 80 pairs of men's underwear? And my wife had to step in and say, he's not weird. He does outreach. So that's the context.
Did they help you out?
We're still working on it. I gave her my card. This was last Saturday. And,
okay, wow.
So she said, the managers will call back because, I'm always willing to clear out the underwear. And, we get neighbors will bring us boxes of underwear, winter stuff we went through.
Because we go, my wife and I,
kits.
we basically go to the thrift store like not every week, but it feels like every week because we're always donating something.
Mm-hmm.
But in this scenario, it almost makes more sense to go to y'all before going to them if it's clothing related or if it's I don't know. It's always something and it's knickknacks and whatever. But sounds like y'all might obviously benefit from it a little bit more.
Absolutely. So we see about 60 to 65 men a day, and that's pretty average for us over the long term of the program. It has ups and downs. So if you have the connector for men's pants size 30 to 36, or men's shoes in that 9.5 to 12.5 range.
Okay.
I am always looking for those.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And it is just
that
come
fits
by
me,
and
yeah,
just put
yeah.
it and just knock on the door.
Yeah, knock on the door, we take it. We don't have a lot of space, but after I do this interview, I'm gonna go pick up about 300 pounds of frozen chicken from a Chick-fil-A, fill my trunk with it.
Is Chick-fil-A one of your one of your donation?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A and Whole Foods are some of our bigger staple donors in terms of food. And then we get a lot of food from churches and from Emory Cafeteria.
Church's chicken or church's the church?
Churches. Yeah, not the chicken.
Okay, sorry.
Different, various churches.
Well, let's
But,
Whole Foods
so-
and Chick-fil-A shout out. That's
It's amazing
wild.
stuff. And they
good for
work
them.
through two amazing nonprofits called Food Donation Connection and Second Helpings. Second Helpings is just one of the best organizations in Atlanta, up there with In-Town Cares and Mercy Cares, and I like to think Focus. But what they do is, they're the backbone of so many amazing smaller nonprofits. So I can never shout them out enough.
Cool. We can
But
we can include, if you want to text me some links and stuff,
Oh,
I can
I'd
throw
love
them
to.
all on the
Absolutely.
episode and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that'd
I
be
know you
great.
just mentioned you gotta get some. We're at 40 minutes. I don't know if you're.
Well, my point was after that.
Sure, yeah, go
after
for
I
it.
fill up that trunk with that Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna run to a amazing Lutheran church down on Memorial and 285, OTP. Just OTP, and we use their clothing closet. So we store a lot of our clothes down there when we're at capacity. And what's one of the most amazing things about them is their clientele, the people they serve and help. I help them do a lunch service, and they get people from low-income housing apartments and day motels. And
wow.
because of that, the demographic is very different. It's about half men, half women, and I see about maybe 5 to 7 children every day. And so they're dealing with the kind of world of the day motels, and it's deep poverty. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of issues going on. But it's a different demographic, and so we'll trade stuff. I'll send any donations of kids' clothing and women's clothing over that way, and we'll get more men's.
Yeah, no, that's it's a whole world. I'm not. This is out of sight, out of mind, unfortunately. But I'm really happy we have this conversation and people. We spread it out. Like this is. Part of this podcast was meant to kind of just get to know our small businesses, but also like this is just why. Of course, I wanted to have this conversation.
That's awesome.
And I want to
thank
continue
you
to
so
have
much.
these
Yeah.
conversations with do you know Liliana or Bentley?
I do.
Okay, like I
Liliana's
want to talk to
amazing.
them.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I mentioned to them yet,
Yeah.
but now they're hearing it for the first time, possibly. But I want to keep.
Atlanta has a great generation of young politicos, with some really cool ideas, and
Well,
it's always frustrating. It's always moving too slow, but there's amazing people doing amazing work, and it's very cool.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping I'm here for, is to just have something, an outlet for cooler, fun, more interesting and helpful and resourceful and all the other words to kind of just wow, I've lost my entire train of thought. This might be a good spot to maybe close it out.
No.
Unless you got any final words?
No, that's all I got. Thank you so much, man. It's everything you do is awesome.
Oh, I appreciate it. And
very cool.
And then we'll see everyone. Well, we won't see everyone. Well, it is for everyone as far as the volunteer goes. Yeah. So if you are listening and you do want to participate, I know I said it at the top of the episode, but I already forgot the date again. It is May, maybe not May.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
It is May
7th.
But there we go. Yes.
And we'll be here at, it's called St. John Woodworking.
Close.
Woodworkers.
Yeah. Well, there was a great article talking about our foot clinic that said St. John the Wonder Maker, but it's not that. It's St. John the Wonder Worker.
Wonder Worker.
Yes, he's a really interesting guy. But we're Focus Atlanta. We're run out of the basement. You'll see us. We have a little sign, and anytime you want to stop by.
And I'll be posting this on the Shmooze, so everyone will see it that way. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, bro. Very cool.
Cool.
When you're in need of